You have just listened to Slovenian mezzo-soprano Barbara Kozel, who lives and works in Netherlands since her 18 years old. And for today's event of Diversity Charter Slovenia, she donated 2 songs especially for us, shepherd songs that you've just listened to, which finishes with words, shepherd, the water divides us and I can't cross it. And the shepherds on the other side of the hill answers, then I will come down and find you. Welcome, but allow me to give first welcome words in Slovenian language. Prisrčno pozdravljeni in dobrodošli na že 4. slavnostnem podpisovanju Listine Raznolikosti Slovenija ob Mednarodnem dnevu človekovih pravic. Dovolite mi, da najprej vljudno upravičim britansko veleposlanico, njeno ekscelenco Tiffany Sadler, zaradi izjemnih naporov, ki jih v zadnjih tednih namenjajo pogajanjem pred izstopom iz EU, se žal dogodka ni mogla udeležiti in upa na prihodnjo priložnost za pogovor na temo raznolikosti. Toplo pa pozdravljam današnjega častnega gosta, varuha človekovih pravic, gospoda Petra Svetina. I warmly welcome you all to the 4th signing ceremony of Diversity Charter Slovenia and to panel discussion, Diversity Against Pandemic, on the occasion of International Human Rights Day. Let me first take the opportunity and apologize to the British Ambassador, Her Excellency Tiffany Sadler, who looked forward to be with us today. But as you may be aware, this and next week will play an important moment with regard to the future relationship between the UK and EU, and for the reason of urgent commitments and developments during the weekend, the situation prevented her from being here with us today. She wishes us a great discussion today and she hopes for future discussions on D&I with us. So I warmly welcome today's guest of honor, the Human Rights Ombudsman, Mr. Peter Svetina, whom I invite now to opening speech. Izvolite, gospod Svetina.
Dober dan in lepo pozdravljeni. Najprej hvala lepa za vaše povabilo. Veseli me, da je današnja okrogla miza, ki jo Listina Raznolikosti organizira ob Mednarodnem dnevu človekovih pravic, usmerjena v pomoč tistim skupinam prebivalstva, ki so zaradi svojih osebnostnih lastnosti ali vrednot postavljene na rob družbe. Gre za ljudi, ki niso del večinskega prebivalstva in ki ne znajo ali ne zmorejo izkoristiti vseh možnosti in priložnosti, ki jih ponuja država. Ali pa jim je to onemogočeno. Čas koronavirusne bolezni nas vse postavlja pred številne izzive in pravice ranljivih skupin so še posebej na udaru. Kot varuh človekovih pravic se zavedam raznolikosti in njenega pomena v družbi. Splošna deklaracija človekovih pravic, ki je bila sprejeta v letu 1948, priznava prirojeno človeško dostojanstvo ter enake in neodtujljive pravice vsakogar, brez razlikovanja, pa naj gre za raso, barvo kože, spol, jezik, vero, politični nazor, narodno poreklo ali katerokoli drugo okoliščino. Govori o tem, da nam vsem, ne glede na naše osebne okoliščine, pripadajo enake pravice. Žal pa je koronavirusna bolezen povzročila družbeno-ekonomsko krizo, ki ima posledice za vse ljudi. In tisti, ki so bili že prej ranljivi, so danes še bolj. Epidemija lahko vpliva na mnoge človekove pravice, pri tem gre najprej za pravico do zdravja in s tem povezanim dostopom do zdravstvenih storitev. Že večkrat sem poudaril, da je nujno pravočasno zagotavljanje informacij in prepoved diskriminacije pri zdravstveni oskrbi. Epidemijo moramo zajeziti, vendar ob tem je potem treba dostop do zdravstvenih storitev zagotoviti vsem, tako tistim, ki jih je prizadela koronavirusna bolezen, kot ostalim, ki trpijo za drugimi zdravstvenimi tegobami. COVID-19 je ponovno opozoril na težavo, ki je v Sloveniji prisotna že mnogo časa, in sicer na problem dolgotrajne oskrbe, ki je povsem neurejena. Starejši so v oskrbo pogosto prepuščeni naključjem, lastnim zmožnostim ter iznajdljivostim in sposobnostim svojcev. V tem času smo pri varuhu prejeli kar mnogo pisem povezanih s prepovedjo obiskov v domovih za starejše, z ukinitvijo pomoči na domu, mnogo vprašanj pa se nanaša na to, kako skrbeti onemogle ob delu na domu ter skrbi za mladoletne otroke. Posamezniki brez sorodnikov, znancev ter socialne mreže so se znašli še posebej v nezavidljivi situaciji in le pogumnim prostovoljcem se je treba zahvaliti, da stisk in prizadetega dostojanstva ni še več. Seveda smo se prav tako ukvarjali s pravicami zaposlenih, s kadrovskimi primanjkljaji v socialno-varstvenih zavodih, v zdravstvenih ustanovah in drugje. Tudi v tem letu, ko je ves svet zaznamovala epidemija COVID-19, je varuh bdel nad pravicami invalidov in ugotovil, da so se njihove siceršnje stiske še bolj poglobile. Obravnavali smo številne pobude ter na vlado, ministrstva in druge pristojne organe naslovili mnoga priporočila. Pripravili pa smo tudi poseben pregled aktivnosti v skrbi za pravice invalidov za obdobje od julija pa do septembra 2020. Pri tem pa smo posebej izpostavili področje dostopnosti informacij za slepe in slabovidne ter gluhe in naglušne, kar je v trenutni situaciji izjemnega pomena. Ugotovili smo tudi, da se je v času omejitvenih ukrepov za zajezitev koronavirusne bolezni razmahnila epidemija nasilja nad ženskami in v družinah. Socialno življenje je namreč precej omejeno, nadzor storilcev nad žrtvami pa prav zato lahko še intenzivnejši. In to terja ne le obsodbo nasilnih ravnanj, pač pa tudi našo senzibilnost za pomoč nemočnim žrtvam, za katere vemo v svojem okolju. Naj povem še, da razsežnosti finančnih stisk ogroža napredek, ki je bil v preteklih letih dosežen na področju zmanjševanja revščine. Brez premišljenih ukrepov bodo posamezniki, ki že sedaj komaj da shajajo z meseca v mesec, v prihodnosti pahnjeni v še večjo revščino, najrevnejši se bodo soočili z najhujšo prikrajšanostjo. Revščino spremljajo izguba dostojanstva, občutek sramu in ponižanje, ki ga doživljajo posamezniki ob tem, ko morajo za to, da bi preživeli, zaprositi za pomoč razne inštitucije. Na vse to se moramo kot družba temeljito pripraviti in že sedaj bdeti nad tem, da ne bomo morebiti koga v protikoronskih ukrepih neupravičeno izpustili. Gre namreč za življenje sedanje in prihodnje generacije. Že sedaj smo priča živahnim razpravam, komu bo najprej namenjeno cepivo proti COVID-19 in kdo bo o tem odločal. Verjamem, da bo stroka pripravila strategijo cepljenja in prioritetne sezname cepljenih, pri tem pa prve odmerke cepiv preskrbela za najbolj ranljive skupine, upoštevaje njihovo starost, kronične bolezni, zaposlitev v državi pomembnih dejavnostih. Zagotovitvijo cepiva in cepljenja za vse prebivalce Slovenije pa se bodo ustvarile možnosti za čim hitrejšo ponovno normalizacijo življenja v vseh segmentih naše družbe ter za odpravo posledic epidemije. Spoštovani, prihodnost, ki je pred nami, je negotova. To občutimo vsi, a ne glede na to, moramo slediti vrednotam, ki nam bodo pomagale živeti in preživeti. Pri tem pa naj bo na prvem mestu človekovo dostojanstvo kot osnova vseh ostalih človekovih pravic. Ključnega pomena pri tem so medsebojno spoštovanje, solidarnost z vsemi, ki jim usoda in današnji čas nista naklonjena, ter jasno priznavanje za enakost vseh. Ob tem pa spoznanje o zavedanju prednosti, ki jih v družbi prinaša raznolikost. Vsi ljudje smo namreč enaki in imamo enake pravice brez razlikovanja. Naj spomnim, da je bila na današnji dan pred 72 leti v Parizu sprejeta splošna deklaracija človekovih pravic, ki pomeni skupen ideal vseh ljudstev in narodov po priznanju prirojenega človeškega dostojanstva vseh članov človeške družbe, njihovih enakih in neodtujljivih pravic. Bodimo človeku človek, še posebej včasih, ko je pravzaprav dostojanstvo vsakega izmed nas na preizkusu. Naj nas v dejanjih vodijo in hrabrijo solidarnost, medsebojno spoštovanje ter zavedanje, da so človekove pravice pravice vseh ljudi. Dovolite mi tudi priložnost, da se ob bližajočih praznikih vsem želim obilo zdravja, poguma, plemenitih in srčnih dejanj in ostanite zdravi. Srečno.
Hvala lepa, gospod Svetina. Thank you. And now let me start our panel discussion. The COVID-19 pandemic has sent shockwaves through the economy and society. It has triggered not only the global health crisis, but global economic downturn, besides social awakening moment. The pandemic has impacted every member of society. However, vulnerable groups are the ones who lose the most. And one is certain, things will not go back and we will not be as before. New normal is emerging. So what will new situation bring for business and people? Will business leaders be able to navigate through white waters under the sky without stars? Is integration of the values of D&I the first answer to the current crisis? Is the help from different the cure? I'm happy to announce that today, in our little virtual world, we have with us guests from Sweden, Poland, Austria, Slovenia, and United States of America. So let me invite to the panel discussion Sonja Schmutz, General Manager of the Chamber of Commerce, and also Ambassador of Diversity Charter Slovenia. Hi, nice to see you. Hey. Then Gabriela Viala, Business Director, Spoon, President of Diversity Charter Sweden.
Hello.
Hello. Katarina Mattsson, Head of Culture and Diversity at Volvo Cars Sweden.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Mirjana Dimc-Perko from the section of Women Managers at Managers Association of Slovenia. Yes. Sasha, welcome. Okay.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Then I would invite Marjena Szczelczak from the Polish Diversity Charter, also CEO and President of Responsible Business Forum from Poland. Do we hear each other, Marjena? Yes?
Yes, but yes.
Okay. Liza Shibanova from Coca-Cola from Poland, HR Country Director.
Dzień dobry, hello, good afternoon, and of course in free our language is Tera, labas rytas, labrit, yes.
Great. And then also last but not least, Sarah Preuschow from Vienna Chamber of Commerce and Diversity Charter Austria.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, so now I will invite all panelists to the opening statements, which will give context to our further discussion in this hour and a half. And for the first opening statement, I'm inviting Ms. Sonja Schmutz. As I said, Sonja Schmutz is General Manager of the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Slovenia since October 2017. And she focuses on different aspects of the competitiveness of the Slovenian economy, especially leadership, labor market, tax system, business ethics, and women's leadership. Before joining Chamber of Commerce, let me say that she held the position of Executive Director of Manager Association of Slovenia for 12 years. And during that time, she also served as a treasurer of CEC, European Managers, at European Confederation of Managerial Organizations with headquarters in Brussels. She's also author of more than 700 business-related articles. So Ms. Schmutz, you're a manager of an organization that provides essential services for all enterprises operating in Slovenia. And I can imagine that you are working hard since the first lockdown as a member of Economic and Social Council in Slovenia. What is going on in Slovenia companies these days? Please, I give you a word.
That perspective. It's true, our chamber has been in really busy in these times. We had a joke internal that at the first lockdown, when people were just home and taking care of their gardens, preparing for the spring and summer, and taking care of the emptying the basements, and so we were working like 14, 16 hours per day. So no, our homes don't look anything like the homes of our neighbors at this point. But just for the introduction, I'm so glad that you mentioned the Manager Association that I was so privileged to be part of for 12 years. And today we have another former director also present, Sasha, who will be joining us from the States, but also Mirjana, who is still part of the association as a member, and she was also always very involved in gender diversity issues. So warm congrats to all my dear colleagues, and a warm welcome to the other panelists that I'm so glad that I have a privilege to be with. I was asked a little bit to give more of an economic aspect, a little bit more than gender or diversity in that way, which otherwise I love very much. Okay, let me start. There's no news if I say that 2020 is a challenging year in every aspect. It touched actually every fiber of the business and private everyday life. So, and it's global. It's the first time that we are facing something like that on a global scale. And what actually I found very stimulating is not the COVID, of course not, but that the approach, the economy and policy approach to solving this crisis is a completely different than it was in 2009 with the financial crisis, when there was focus on austerity measures, and now we have an unprecedented fiscal support for businesses, for different groups in society. So it's like we're not in the same book. It's a completely different, not the book is different, it's different library where we took our measures now, if we compare that to the 2009. And I think that that's very positive. And yet, when we look at the global level, we can see that the first time in decades, we see again the rise in global poverty. 71 million people were pushed into extreme poverty in 2020. So this has caused a really, this hurt so many people so badly. And I can't imagine if the fiscal stimuluses wouldn't be so big as they are now, how many people would be pushed over the edge in this situation. So if I bring this a little bit more home to Slovenia, so what's the economic situation here and the outlook? When we look at the different economic sectors, we can see that it's the same as everywhere in the world. This is a sectorial crisis. So it's sectors that are suffering most from the pandemic are tourism, organization of events, mass transportation, retail, restaurants, personal services. All that is really, really hit very hard. But then on the other side, we have sectors that are managing quite well. Some will be able to get back in the decrease from the spring lockdown. Some we see when we do the research that that companies expect to do better than they thought in spring that this year will turn out. It will still be a catastrophic year, but it will not be as bad as we feared in April or May. So things are at least good in one part of the economy, and we have to rely on that part, that they are the ones who will carry us upon that, to that shepherd that you mentioned from that song. So those sectors are a large part of in manufacturing, electronics, pharmaceutical, food, online retail, IT support services, finance, and also public services that have state subsidies for their programs. the large, as I said before, also in Slovenia, we have a large state measures, support measures. We estimated about 5% of the GDP was spent to and gave to private sector in 2020. About 87% of that money was actually channeled to support employment. And that's why we didn't see such a huge increase in unemployment. Our rate of unemployment, of course, rose than before, but even now is lower than it is in the EU 27 from the beginning of the year. So in EU 27, it rose more, and we still are not on, we are still lower than the EU 27 started the year with. So in terms of employment or unemployment, we're doing actually a pretty good job. When we look at what's to come, as said, this year will be bad in terms of the GDP fall. We expect somewhere around 7%, but next year we expect 5% growth. That doesn't mean that we'll reach the 20, that we will all the everything that we're missing from this year, we will have it in 2021. That's not yet. We expect that in the levels of 2019, we'll reach them in 2022. But at least the prospects for the next year are pretty positive. And we also expect the unemployment rate to stay low, below 5%. And as we look now, we see that men and women unemployment is pretty close. So in terms of diversity, this crisis has been, if I can say, the gender diversity fair. So it didn't hit one gender much more than the other, but we'll see how it will turn in the end. So I guess it's better that I stop now and I listen to some other panelists with their views on this. So thanks for the invitation.
Super. Thank you very much. And now I will invite Gabriela Viala, Business Director at Spoon, President of, as I said, of Diversity Charter Sweden. Gabriela is a Senior Executive Communication Consultant at Spoon, President at Diversity Charter with more than 15 years of experience from the communication industry. Spoon is also an award-winning global creative agency in a branch, of course, with tough competition, where success is dependent on creativity and innovation. And this year, the Swedish Charter celebrates their 10th year anniversary. As members, you aim to contribute a Nordic perspective on diversity and take part in developing the organization's member network. Gabriela, and all your team of Diversity Charter Sweden, congratulations on such a great anniversary. If we would be now in a physical, not virtual hall in Slovenia, I would invite all participants to applaud you for great things you did in these 10 years. And I will say voluntarily, as all EU diversity charters are voluntary initiatives. We look forward to hear from you key accomplishments in these 10 years and what is now different than 10 years ago. Please join me.
Thank you. I put together 2 slides on this topic, and as you said, Barbara, Diversity Charter Sweden is a non-profit association that we run a network to how to show companies how to successfully work with diversity in companies and organizations. And our members, they undertake to actively work with diversity and inclusion from their perspective. So, you know, different branches and different companies have different challenges, as you know. And what we do is that we provide opportunities to meet and to share experiences between different companies so that together we become better and stronger. You can take the next slide. Thank you. So what we have achieved during these 10 years is that we have gone from talking about the importance of working with diversity and inclusion. So from why do we need to have these perspectives? Why is it so important, to instead talking with our signatories on how do we do it? That is the question now. Everyone understands that it is important, that it gives us broader perspectives, but I get the feeling that we are a little bit unsure how to do it. How do we work effectively? How do we measure? Are we able to measure? And how do we as a company develop our own methods to become better and stronger? And in the charter, we have also moved away from educating or lecturing, instead of putting together companies together so that they can share their experiences. And we have now launched something that we call a peer review, where companies get together in smaller groups and where they can discuss and share their own experiences. So, for instance, IKEA can meet another company, and we have these challenges in recruiting or other things that you want to share. And then we have, during this pandemic, we have been forced to do everything digitally, and that has actually developed ourselves into becoming more inclusive, because if you are working digitally, it's easier for participants to participate in the events that we actually do. And we have also developed various themes that are more interesting for larger companies or smaller companies. We're more target group focused. And I think that in society today, everyone understands that diversity and inclusion is crucial for your business, but you are very interested in the subject. So today we are a growing organization, which is very, very good. And I think that discussions are on a totally different level. And so last year, we were able to hire our first Secretary General, and that has absolutely been fantastic, because now we have one person that is totally focused on developing the organization.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Gabriela, for these first words. We can see that takes time to come to this level of taking diversity into account. Now, let me now take the opportunity to open discussion with Katarina Mattsson, Head of Culture and Diversity at Volvo. She's an experienced human resource and communication leader. The drive is strong to make a difference, and with her skills in coaching, inspiring and engaging others, as well as working cross-functional with teams and leaders, she is a force to reckon with. In a deeply global connected world, she believes that it is really important that an inclusive culture and leadership continues to promote dynamic, respectful and inclusive working environment where every individual can bring their authentic selves to work, regardless of gender or nationality, background and experience. Please, Ms. Mattsson, at Volvo you value passion, I read it, and warm this panel discussion a little with this energy that Volvo guards, I think, as a treasure to fuel innovation. Please join us, and I give you floor.
Thank you so much, Barbara, and Diversity Charter in Slovenia. Yes, I wanted to start with a few slides about Volvo Cars and who we are. So let's see now how I can change the slides, right? Yes. Volvo Cars has grown from being founded in Gothenburg in Sweden to now being a global company. And we have a presence all over the world. We have still the heart of the company in Gothenburg in Sweden and in Europe, but we have grown significantly during the last 10 years, and our second home market is now Asia, especially specifically in China, and then also Americas. where we also now have production since 2 years back for the first time. So we are around 43,000 employees globally, and we operate in around 100 countries around the globe. We are in a transformation period, to say the least. The whole automotive business is really disrupting when it comes to finding new ways to view mobility. Our purpose, freedom to move in a personal, sustainable and safe way, will guide us on our transformation journey, moving from designing, developing and producing cars to move into a completely new area where we see a different use and need of cars and mobility. It can be a sharing car. It could be that you need your car sometimes, and also looking at new ways of purchasing your cars, going online, which is something that has, of course, really accelerated during this spring, and I will come back a little bit to that later on. Yes, our company purpose, freedom to move in a personal, sustainable and safe way. You know, safety has always been at the core of everything that we do, and it still is. But we also really see that we have an obligation to society, and our sustainability efforts and strategy has really expanded now, and we are driving this a lot within the company and really wanting to commit to the highest standards of sustainability in mobility to protect the world we share. So we have our strategic principles where we focus on climate action, circular economy and ethical leadership and business. And that is, of course, where the people part comes in. So for us then, it's really important to be a people-centric company. And we drive that through our culture, where we want to be curious. We know the importance of creating together, and we really want to make the difference. We strive to be a nimble, purpose-driven organization, and we focus very much on our leadership, where the leaders of today and tomorrow really need to support us in creating clarity and show courage and empower teams. And of course, that could be quite difficult in disruptive and challenging times like this, and especially then during this year. So this has been a challenging year for our leaders, but we have done a lot to support them. Our culture, as I said, focus very much about curiosity, creating together, and making the difference. And here we talk a lot about curiosity about our users, and that is, of course, not only the consumers and the stakeholders outside our business, but also if we look internally to our own organization. Learn every day. It's also about learning about each other and being curious about each other, because that is the way to be able to create together in a trusting and psychologically safe environment. Yes, we are committed to creating a diverse workforce and an inclusive culture with our leadership to really bring out the best in our people. Like you said, Gabriella, everybody knows, and we all know that this will spark creativity and innovation and increase our performance and strengthen our business. So for us, it's also very much more about then how do we do it now? How do we make it reality in everything that we do? So that we secure that we have an inclusive workplace with zero tolerance for discrimination, harassment and bullying, and that we all feel that we can bring our whole selves to work and be treated in that way. So we work very much about building awareness and knowledge. We of course see our leaders as the role models for enabling our culture and inclusion and diversity to come to life. But we also see that our employees also have a responsibility to live our culture. And we talk a lot about that. It actually starts with ourselves. What we can do is, of course, is to design our structures and processes in a way that supports an inclusive work environment, and we talked about recruitment, etc. So we really ensure that we have that diverse dimension in both attracting talents to us, recruitment, but also then developing and retaining our employees as well. We do a lot of communication and visible proofs, because we have to share what we do. Also coming back to what you said, Gabriella, that we need to show the good examples, to show best practices, learn and share from each other. And for us then, being in the automotive sector, where there's still a lack of females in the engineering fields, the STEM field, science, technology, engineering and maths, we also need to focus a lot on external partnerships, etc., to be where the young females are, and share and show them what the great possibilities there are working in our company. We have one KPI, a strong commitment for us, and that is to really drive 50-50 when it comes to leadership positions, both in external recruitment, internal promotion. And that is very much focus right now for us. And of course, it's been a struggle this year with less hiring, etc. But still, wherever we have the possibility, this is really an ambition for us and high on the agenda. So we work a lot with awareness building and training here. Can we find new ways to get where we want to be? We still have a long way to go. As I said, we are in the automotive industry. We are not the best in class when it comes to gender diversity, but we are really doing a lot to take steps in the right direction. Very, very quickly then, what we did during the spring. Early on, we learned from our colleagues in China, who were the first ones out to be hit by the pandemic. And that was, of course, helpful for us then when it came to Europe and US. So we quite immediately put together a crisis team, cross-functional throughout the organization, where we set up different work streams, focusing on corporate and social responsibility, because we had so many people internally who really wanted to help out. We had a lot of great initiatives, things that we could share. We had clothes that we could give away to hospitals, and we had face masks that we didn't use that we normally had in our production, etc. So we had to organize that in a good manner to also support the hospitals in the best possible ways. We lent out a big number of cars in our different countries where we operate. We told all our markets that please connect with your local communities and see if there is a need for cars that could be used for transporting people or tests or material or anything. So that was really a big support in many communities. Healthier workplace, specifically in Sweden, the situation has been and was a bit different, where we didn't have that complete lockdown. We were home on furlough in Sweden for about 6 weeks, working part-time, but then we were invited to go back to office. So of course we worked a lot with assuring that we had a good workplace environment. And we had a lot of training, and we had a lot of welcoming stations. We worked together with the the company, the health provider, Feel Good, that we worked with, who also supported us with mental support and also nursing advices, etc. A lot of communication. Communication is key when it comes to this. So we immediately also set up a Corona hub on our global intranet, constantly providing new and updated information. We had one channel for our leaders, so they felt more informed, but we tried to update that as often as possible. We also had a work stream which we called Keep Up Motivation, where we focused a lot on our leadership, our learning and health initiatives. we very early on developed all our leadership trainings online. And of course, it was a little bit so in the beginning, but this was very well received from our employees. So we did a lot of training on how to lead from a distance, how to work on a distance, how to have inclusivity in mind, and things like that. So we managed to reach a large number of leaders during these first 5 months, and we will continue with this now. We could also see that this made us becoming more global, you could say, because before we had a lot of trainings face-to-face, and we couldn't invite as many people. But now suddenly we were all facing the same situation, whether we were sitting in Gothenburg or in California or in Shanghai. So it actually brought us closer together. And I was amazed to see how our employees opened up and shared very personal stories about the situation, how difficult it was to work from home and taking care of your children and doing everything at the same time, and how many leaders struggled with how to reach out to my employees in a good way. How do I make sure that they are okay, that they are all right, etc. So we have learned a lot from this, and everything we take with us now when we discuss our new tomorrow. What will that look like? What can we learn from this? And what will the future look like? It's still very much a question mark, I think, but we continuously now look into what will we take with us and what do we want to not take with us, of course. Yes, this is just some of the things that we did when it comes to social responsibility. We had 3D printers, so we could print visors for hospitals, etc., both in Americas and in Sweden, which made us also feel very good that we as employees could give something back to society. Yeah, we worked a lot with our healthier workplace, entrance points, restaurants, etc., to make sure that we did everything possible to secure social distancing, but still, since we could allow people to come back to work, because we also have learned during this spring that we react to this situation of working from home very differently. And if you are alone, if you are single living on your own, if you, for example, we have quite a few people from abroad who have moved to Gothenburg, they don't have their family or their social network here. The work is their family and the colleagues. So from that perspective, we have also seen that some people actually have preferred being in the office just to meet another person face to face. And that we have encouraged, as long as we then do it in a good way and keeping distance and everything.
And we can continue further, you know, about this. We can continue in the next question about this internal. Yes. And can I go then to the next one?
Absolutely.
Yes, great. You know, we will come back to you and you will talk more deeply.
Super good.
Super. Thank you. Thank you, Katarina.
Thank you.
And now we go to our fourth guest, and this is Mirjana Dimc-Perko from the section of Women Managers at Managers Association of Slovenia. She is serving as a chairperson at Incon Investment and Management Consulting Group, providing strategic and financial advice to investors in their expansion into Central East Europe. She has more than 28 years of experience in corporate finance, investment, fund management, and she served as a member of more than 20 different supervisory boards. Recently, she was a president of supervisory board of UNICEF Foundation, and she's also an angel investor and mentor to several startup companies and individuals. Impressive biography, Ms. Dimc-Perko. I can say you took a hammer to your hands and broke the glass ceiling, and you are doing it for other women too, as you are now today presenting what you are doing, a section of women managers at Slovenian Manager Association. Please welcome, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. It's so good to see so many familiar people, especially Sonia and Sasha, whom we have worked on this gender diversity in management boards for many years. And I'm sure Sonia, both of them will recognize some of the slides here. I will just briefly present the initiative that female managers at Managers Association Slovenia started after 10 years of thinking, should we go into that direction or not? So let me see how do I move this? Okay. Oh, it works like that because it's PDF. Sorry. So why do we talk about, what will I like to tell? Why do we talk about gender diversity in the board, in management position? Why is Slovenia lacking behind in with gender balance on board, and what are we trying to achieve? So why are we talking about gender diversity in management positions? Because gender diversity is good for business. That's simply, it's not something that we would like to do just for fun. It's good for business and it's good for economy. So this is, sorry, this is a little bit now a problem how to move it further, but okay, I have to show this one properly. We noticed through many analyses, not just in Slovenia, but worldwide, there are many empirical data showing that if boards have a diverse gender, the companies are performing better. So we have tried to extrapolate this to the whole economy. So what would happen if company boards would have diverse teams? And this is if there would be a slow, if you see this one blue, slow improvement of gender balance is making the GDP growing slower. And the red one is showing what would be the effect on the economy and on GDP growth if the leading of the company would be more diverse. So we also calculated that if we would translate this growth of the GDP to GDP per capita, let's say until 2050, it would be from 4,100 to 6,400 euro GDP per capita more. So it's not just the human right that I think the women should have the chance to lead the boards together with the men, but it's also good for the economy. So just a few sources why this is, where these empirical data are coming from. So the companies with better gender balance have created higher added value. In Fortune 500, 53% of those companies would have higher return on equity, 35% of them would have higher profitability. It would be 9% higher EBIT in companies with above average board diversity, and it would be plus 6% higher net return in companies where at least 30% of management positions was filled by females. So I think all of us more or less know about it, but when we present this data to male colleagues, they see that also the board of the management associations, which is like 70% male, approved our action for us to go forward with our initiative. Also, if we look at innovation, I don't know why is this, sorry, I have a little bit of a problem with moving this. So if we look at innovation, companies with less balanced board would have 26% of revenues from innovation, and the others with the better gender diversity, 45% of income would have 45% of income coming from innovation. So another reason why we think that this makes sense. In 2012, European Union set guidelines for gender equality, gender balance in boards, where the goal was 40% of less represented gender on non-executive boards and 33% of less represented gender on executive boards. As you know, this didn't come true. It was just accepted as a recommendation. But the great news coming from November this year is that Germany, after 10 years, that's 8 years has passed since then, and Germany has decided that there is very little progress on gender diversity in management boards. So they will introduce a mandatory one-third quota for women working in senior management in listed companies, and 30% of gender quota in government-held companies, supervisory boards. So this is a very big step forward, because as many of people here know, that Slovenian legislation, especially corporate legislation and Companies Act, is very much not copy, but very much similar to the German one, where you have a two-tier system with supervisory board and management board. Also, when we are accepting the new legislation, many times the ones that are writing the laws, they would check a little bit with Germany how they do things. And so you have many replications of that legislation. Sonia would recognize this slide for sure. It's from her master's degree thesis. It's just it's showing how women, when from graduation, if you see the first one is 58% of female graduate at university, and if you follow through their career, only 5% of them end up as CEOs. So this is sometimes people are saying yes, but we will have problems if we have quotas, because there is not enough of qualified women who could fill these positions. I think this graph is showing just that this is absolutely not true. It's just that they don't get their chance. So what are we trying to achieve? We prepared a proposal from a change of Companies Act, which would impose legal obligation, or in other words, quota, for achieving better gender balance in supervisory boards. But we took like 5 years period in which this could happen, because we don't want companies to be forced to do it, immediately. Sometimes it's going slow and sometimes fast, so I have to. Okay. So what are these measures? There are like five measures. I will not go in many details. I'll just try to put the basics. So we want to have at least 1/3 of less represented gender. We try to avoid the word quota, because everybody gets goosebumps, especially men, when they hear quota. So we are talking about less represented gender. So we want to have them 1/3 among executive directors when there's just one board member. And in supervisory boards, we want to have 40%. Of course, there are different calculations, so we try to come up with a solution that would work in different calculation in different number of the boards. But this is mostly, we are talking about 1/3 in management board and 40% in supervisory board. And we also calculate the workers' representatives in this quota. For which companies we want that? For listed companies, financial institutions, state-owned companies, and mid-sized companies with more than 250 employees and 50 million euro of revenue. And just the latest thing, in this summer, between the two corona waves, the government has adopted only voluntary gender balance proposals on basis of recommendations and reporting. And we as female managers are absolutely not happy with that, because as we see, there is very, very little progress in voluntary, especially here. It's a very patriarchal society. If we look at the analysis that Deloitte is doing every year, we see a very little progress in that area. For example, in the summer this year, between the two coronas, many companies had a chance to go toward more balanced board. Some of them did improve. I think it's, but even more of them who had a chance, big companies like Luka, Krka, and so on, they just didn't use the chance to go towards better gender diversity. So I can only say that although even some women don't agree with that approach, but more or less we are more and more convinced that without temporary legislation which will push harder companies to go to the gender diversity, we will not have big progress.
Okay.
So much for now, and I know that
and we will continue
other
the
questions coming.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much, Mirjana. We are a little tight with schedules, so I will go quickly to Sasha Mrak-Hendrickson. She's joining us from Washington, DC. She's also ambassador of Diversity Charter Slovenia. And I can say that, so she completed MBA studies at the Kotuli Business School in Zagreb. Her work was focused on a support for the development of Slovenian management and the economy. She has over 15 years of experience working in projects for developing people at work, managerial skills, marketing and public relations. And she's also worked for the professional magazine for the development of organization, HRNM. And now you are in another period of life, giving birth to a 2-month-old baby girl. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Currently enjoying sabbatical, yet very active. You wrote to me in summer and asked, what can I do for you as an ambassador of DC? And we had many ideas, didn't we?
Yes, we did. We did.
And now you moved to USA. And just when Black Lives Matter movement started, tell us a little. I will start now with question to you. Which values are now at the forefront of the USA at the moment? All the world observed USA presidential elections, obviously. Black Lives Matter movement fueled also Biden's victory. Could his positive action diminish negative tensions with a solid start to bridge gaps of differences? But however, is it possible that the movement narrows diversity on racial issues, neglecting other aspects of all, or that Black Lives Matter even already transformed into a movement for equality and inclusion in general? Please, can you tell us a little about what is going on?
Thank you, and good morning from USA. Yes, I was watching sun coming up right now. So yes, it is an early morning here, but let me go to the topic. So yes, elections brought a new hope, and everybody here was watching what's going to happen, because Trump's administration didn't bring much of a forward thinking when it came to diversity and equality. It was actually a huge setback, and I wouldn't go, with naming what all the things that happened in last years, but I would emphasize few of them that are right now also in media and are having lots of attention. And one of them is that, I don't know if you know, but Trump banned transgender Americans to work in military, to serve in military. And that was a huge, huge setback also for the mentality and people's opinion. It influenced badly. And the other one was that I couldn't believe it, decided to prohibit certain diversity training in federal agencies, and also in all the organizations that are either contractors or receiving grants from the government, which includes universities and lots of nonprofits. So that was also one of the huge setbacks in terms of diversity. So now when Biden won the presidential elections, all the eyes are, focusing and watching and demanding that the government now should actually be representing the America, its way in diversity, which means, you know, more of Black people. There were almost no Black people in this core body of administration, of government administration, more Hispanic, more transgender, more all from the LGBTQ communities. And Biden did, of course, start with that. And there are now some tensions because of that, because you know, people are pressing on them. The Human Rights Campaign, the nation's larger LGBTQ advocacy group, is working closely with Biden's team to work on that. And we do see a lot of progress, not mentioning that we have a colored vice president now, and first female vice president, Kamala Harris, which is a huge step forward that everybody welcomed here. We have now an Afro-Latino gay man that will be sworn into the U.S. House, joining a core member of a team. We have also a transgender joining the team. We have a 6-member economic team with only 1 white man, and so on and so on. So there are a lot of things changing, but what I want to say more important is that this is giving a strong message to the entire America and the world where we should be going, because with Trump's administration and with Trump's leadership, there were a lot of steps, you know, going back into the past and conservative and unacceptable thinking. Maybe only that much. I think I explained enough.
Super. Thank you for giving us this look over the sea, you know, because we were all relieved when it happened, you know, because we couldn't imagine that.
Well, if I may add just one thing, we were all relieved here as well, but you need to know that there are 70 million voters who voted for Trump, and they were not relieved. So when talking about America and about what it is like here, you need to know that America is one of the most, I mean, it is the most diverse place. And as much as we have a lot of, you know, open-minded people, on the other side, we still have a lot of population that lives elsewhere, that it's not so open-minded, that never leaves their own state, never leaves their own home, that, you know, follows some old perspectives. So yes, that is an influence. And as you know, we are all watching closely what's going to happen with all these 70 million voters that Trump is still trying to engage and lead with him.
With such hate speech and, you know, fueling, you know, this hate, you know, it's not good for the nation. Yeah, it's happening all over the world, I think. So thank you, Sasha. Let me now move to Poland, to Marzena Szczelczak, CEO and President of Responsible Business Forum and President of Diversity Charter in Poland. And she's an expert in communications and CSR. Before joining Responsible Business Forum, she worked for 20 years in business. She's coordinating all the activities of Polish Diversity Charter, and she's also an author of many publications on various aspects of CSR, sustainability, diversity. So now, Marzena, you recently celebrated 25 years anniversary at CSR's Poland as the expert on sustainability. I guess now in these times, we can all observe how D&I is at the heart of sustainability. I give you the floor, please.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you for the invitation. And I'm really glad that I can be today with all of you. And congratulations on this idea to gather us from all over the world, almost today. Yes, I really would like to share more about my organization, Responsible Business Forum, than on Diversity Charter, which is, of course, very important for us, for our organization, which is a bit younger than the Swedish Charter, because Polish Charter is 8 years old. And it was established in the collaboration of business organization, NGOs, ombudsman, and also with huge support of public administration in that time. But now times has changed, and so today I would like to more talk about Responsible Business Forum. And this year was for us, like for everybody else all over the world, very special for us. First and foremost for this obvious reason, pandemia, that challenged our private and professional life, and we had to all adjust to this new normal, and we did it. So we are lucky, we are happy, we delivered, let's say, all what we have planned in last year, and even more, because we have to learn new things, to use new tools, so it's a success. This year is also special because of this 20 years anniversary of Responsible Business Forum. And my organization is the biggest and the oldest organization focused on CSR and sustainable development in Poland. Finally, I think it is what is important for us as an organization, but also for people all over the world, is that this year brought us a special, I would say, shift in understanding what does it mean impact for business, and what does it mean responsibility and sustainable development. And it's thanks pandemia, so it's a good, let's say, side of the situation, because pandemia made it pretty clear for the people all over the world how we are all interconnected, but also how important is for all of us, and for business, for society, for public administration, to tackle contemporary world, let's say, challenges in a comprehensive way. That all these challenges, environmental, economic, climate challenges, are very, very connected with societal challenges. So it became quite obvious that we need, in thinking about our present and about future, especially in this very comprehensive manner, that we need a comprehensive approach. The other very important thing is that pandemia taught us, I think, that even very small and sometimes overlooking factor part could be a change that will influence the whole system. So the lesson is that we have to develop solutions that will be contributed and created by participants from different sectors with different backgrounds. We need very, very diverse teams. We need this curiosity about which was mentioned in this presentation. Yes. It's very important to be curious. So I think that now it's the time that we realize that to solve these challenges that it's impossible to solve these challenges without this comprehensive and very inclusive approach based on dialogue. So this is a big shift in the mindset, and I think it will be, I hope it will be crucial for the whole world. And just coming to the end, I would like to mention about publication that was just recently released, but World Business Council for Sustainable Development, that is titled Reinventing Capitalism. So it's the main findings of this publication, and the main message is that the business or capitalism in the form we know it from the past till the year of pandemia is more problem than the solution. So we need business to be and capitalism more sustainable socially, environmentally, and economically. So I think it is a very very strong message, and in that way I perceive all our activity that we have in charter as a part of this approach that should be more inclusive. I do believe that it is the only way to reach more sustainable future.
Thank you so much, Marzena. We will come back to what is going on in Poland and what did you do. But let me now go to another speaker from Poland, Liza Shibanova, and who says for herself that she's passionate about working with people and for people. She has more than 20 years of professional experience in project and change management, talent management, strategy and development, and diversity and inclusion. Now I am thinking, did I say that she's coming from Coca-Cola, Poland? Okay. Well, let me start with this, with one info. In 1934, Coca-Cola had first woman on the board. 1934, and the company was first major corporation to have a woman serve on its board, Letty Pate Evans. The floor is yours, dear Ms. Shibanova.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for inviting me. First of all, culture diversity is extremely close to my heart. Do you know why? First of all, I was born in Latvia and I spent my childhood in Latvia. My father is Estonian with German roots, and my mom is Russian with Ukrainian roots. So due to his profession, I moved across different countries and changed 14 schools. You can imagine how you need to be adaptive to such kind of environment. In Coca-Cola Hellenic, I already changed 5 developmental assignments, and this is also a part of diversity, how you can gain from different cultures. I delivered my 2 kids in Ukraine, and we already changed 3 countries together with our family. So this is something very close to my heart, and every time I try to promote this part by personal example. My previous assignment was in Nigeria, and it's amazing to learn from different cultures, especially from such kind. Now I'm in Poland, and I'm also responsible for Baltics. And of course, for our new business unit, North Business Unit, this topic is something very special, because you have 4 countries, you have 4 languages, you have very specific Nordic culture specific, and of course during pandemic we experienced a lot of challenges, because it's different legislation, different government restrictions, different people, different reaction on some situation. But before I start sharing our practices during COVID period of time, I want to share something that really make me proud. Our leadership team is extremely diverse, and it's a balance between female and male. We reach our objective 50-50, but it's not only about this. I think we're one of the first business unit who has a country sales manager as a female, as well as supply manager as a female. And by taking this into account, we're promoting this initiative by personal examples. On top of this, we have very diversity in our leadership team in terms of culture. We have people from Greece, from Serbia, from Baltics, from Poland. And by taking all our knowledge together, we can understand what exactly we can give to our people. Of course, we were not exception in terms of pandemic. Yes, it's like was something what we didn't expect and didn't plan. We had absolutely outstanding plans. We decided to open 2 new lines in Poland. We wanted to open new categories, coffee, Costa Coffee and premium spirits. On top of this, we just, sign off new project, Tallinn office relocation, and pandemic came. But I do believe the most important is mindset. And for me, diversity is not only a subject for discussion, it should be a mindset. And in this case, you can incorporate it in all your processes. So how you work in new reality? Couple of things to share with you. First of all, we decided as a leadership team and crisis team to set up very clear priorities. And you can see it was our people, and secure what health and safety is a key priority for all of us. Let me try to come back. Okay, but okay, it's can leave as it is. Second, it's like health of our business and our customers. And of course, last but not least, with the equal priority, it's our community. What was important for us? To establish a right and transparent communication. And as in other countries or in other companies, we also immediately establish intranet. We put a lot of efforts for educational part. We raised awareness across whole countries. But what is the most important, we start changing our existing processes and approaches. We organized virtual town halls, and by embracing digital technologies, we connected all people across our business unit. Now we have this tradition, and tomorrow, for example, you'll have our next virtual update, and this is a part of inclusion, because you open to people, you're updating them, updating in terms of COVID, your priorities, your plans, and you're very open to listen any questions, listen about their concerns, listen about their curiosity, listen about whatever they have in mind. But what is really important, you have this ability to answer and be very connected in spite of all this part. And of course, what was also important for us, to keep motivation across our business unit. As I want to say, we are very diverse. We have production, we have logistics, we have sales, we have our supportive function. Of course, for supportive function, it was not an issue. In one day, we relocate to office, home office. But at the same time, we didn't close any offices. And today, you can see me and I greeting you from Warsaw office. We equip all our offices by all necessary protection tools, but at the same time we show our connection to population who by default cannot work from home, our production people, our sales people, and we decided to support them. And now we keep this like continuation between all our different departments. So moving further, and I try to understand how to click. Okay. This is like some examples how we bring this diversity. So, and you can see, for example, on the left side, we organize our virtual visit, market visits. Finally, we managed to open our 2 new lines in Raznolikost and Krakow. And we every time update our people how we are moving and what we are doing. So we shared with our people how we launched in all pandemic parts and on board our new categories, Costa Coffee and premium spirits. You can see our GM went to Estonia in order to show our people how new office look like. So we tried every time all challenges turn to opportunities and embrace our people and engage them and show that impossible is nothing, it's just one option. So moving further, this is like really something that made me proud, because this project was led by our ambassadors. And can you imagine, in pandemic that everything is closed, these people managed to relocate our office in Tallinn. So they combine cultural specific with our identity as a Coca-Cola. They found opportunities to optimize, but at the same time, they brought something which is unique, which is a part of diversity for our people. And as I mentioned and showed you before, we of course organize virtual tour for all our business leaders and people across business unit. So moving further, and this is also important as our third pillar was communities. We didn't stop any things what was presented before this COVID situation, and we said even now maybe it's more important to be connected with our youth, with our communities, with our hospitals, and continue showing our kindness to these people. So everything which is driving this is about leadership and our people. And couple of words what I want to say, this is about Youth Empowerment Program. Why I'm saying this? Because we talked a lot with our young generation, and they were frustrating a lot during pandemic. What to do, how to plan career, what does it mean for them, and how to be connected with the organization. We didn't stop any initiative. We only adjust our ways of communication. We continue educating young generation in order to be like equipped to start new career. We're providing mentoring, and this time we organize one of the biggest communication conference to these young people. So moving further, for us it was important during pandemic to support our commercial team because it was a challenge for them. You know, some customers were under restrictions, some customers didn't want to be open or in other things. And we say, what if our people can volunteer not for outside, but inside as well? And we open new initiative, Raise Your Hand. It means we together coming to a sales team to make some merchandising to support with outlet activation. And you can see the numbers is really impressive. So by finalizing, we have a lot of practices to share, and I would be really happy to join you next time. But what is really important to treat diversity and inclusion as a mindset, as a part of your culture and DNA. And impossible is nothing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lisa. You answered some questions already that I had, and as we are very tight with, I will go to the last from Austria, if you allow me, to Sarah Preuschow from Vienna Chamber of Commerce. And Sarah is the head of the networks Diversity Women in Business and Young Entrepreneurs. And Sarah was raised in Germany and Slovakia and studied management at the Vienna University of Economics and Business. And she's now working since 2019 on these fields. And I would like to say, I would like to give words, and especially can you share with us already the first question that I had prepared, like we will now wrap a little bit, hurry. What is your observation on the topic, that, you know, recessions typically haven't been part of the corporate conversations around diversity and inclusion. But now research shows that D&I efforts present a potent source for strength for organizations as they weather tough times. And I would like, beside your presentation, hear what do you think about this? How are your companies, how do you observe this, the companies who worked seriously on D&I before, are they overcoming the problems COVID is bringing to them better than others? Well, here I give you the floor. And sorry for hurry.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes.
No, thank you so much. So I would ask Nieves to maybe not give me this because my internet connection is just not good in me, and I will not have my video. I think it's okay for everyone, and you will just hear my voice, and I will go through the presentation. So a quick answer to your question is, in my opinion, and what I see, it's only my point of view, that companies who already have been with diversity and inclusion on purpose, you know, because we are all diverse, but who really had diversity management, they had in many facts maybe a little easier time during the pandemic. The first reason is, or for example, are websites. So if you had already accessible websites because you wanted to have accessible website for all people, you had a easier time in Austria because everything was online and everything, or online shops and so on. So the switch was easier for them, I think, as for people who had no websites at all, or the websites weren't accessible. And we are always speaking, because I'm in the Chamber of Commerce, about business related cases. So 10% of customers, or 10% of people, they need an accessible website on this example to use it properly. So you are somehow losing this 10% if you can't give them the access. But today I prepared a presentation about the Vienna Chamber of Commerce, where I am employed. So this is about my employer, and I would like to show you a little bit about that. So thank you. Next slide, please. So what is actually the Chamber of Commerce in Austria? So as you can see, there is a picture of Austria with its 9 municipalities. And every municipality has its own Chamber of Commerce, which is responsible for their area. And then there's also a Chamber of Commerce Austria, but they are more dealing about legislation which is for whole Austria or with international topics. And these chambers of commerce are established by law. So they are given, and these chambers have members, and the members are entrepreneurs and companies, which are automatically members, which means when I found a company in Vienna, I'm automatically a member in the Chamber of Commerce Vienna. And we always communicate 3 core areas of the Chamber of Commerce. So first is the representation of interest. When there is a new legislation, always the Chamber of Commerce is asked to give some feedback on that. Of course, it's around business related issues, but according to that, the Chamber of Commerce is giving feedback. The second thing is service. So when I'm a member or an entrepreneur, in other words, I can ask the Chamber of Commerce about legal advice or funds or subsidies. And the third core area is education. So the Chamber of Commerce in Vienna, for example, had some colleges, high schools, or an institution which only makes courses. But to understand this chamber, we need to know about the twofold principle. So they are employees like me. I'm an expert for some area and I'm working on this topic. And then we have functionaries. They are members too, actually. So these are entrepreneurs who work in a honorary capacity, which means they are representing on the outside. So the employees and the functionaries are working closely together, but on the outside, I will see only this functionary who is representing. Thank you. Please, next slide. So what about diversity in the chamber? So we can divide it in Austria and Vienna, but as you can see, there are 3 networks which are really diversity based. And there's the network Women in Business, network Young Entrepreneurs, and also network Diversity. And I am working with that. So this is my job, actually, to care for these networks. And these networks are for members or aspiring members. So that means if I am an aspiring entrepreneur, I want to fund a company, I can join the network Young Entrepreneurs when I'm younger than 40 and just have a chat with them and connect. Thank you. Please, next slide. So the question is, what do we actually do? So we make events. For example, you have here a picture. Business Maniacs is a big, big thing. We could manage to do it, unfortunately, this year as big as we wanted, but Business Maniacs is an event for young entrepreneurs or aspiring ones. And we had 1,000 people last year, and the people have specific informations there. It's a little bit like a festival. It was really cool, but they get the information they need. What we also do, please 1 click more, Neves, thank you. We do the representation of interest. What does it mean? We were in the newspaper for example, with the young entrepreneurs, this is the head of young entrepreneurs, and she says, okay, we need a digital city and we need this. And this is the representation of interest. So she's a functionary, she's an entrepreneur in her real life, and she's also like representing the young entrepreneurs. And we communicate with our members via social media, via emails. Thank you. One click more. But what is most interesting, I think, for us today is the network diversity. So we should be the first contact point for entrepreneurs or companies regarding to diversity-related issues. So if I have a question as an entrepreneur or as a company, you can just ring us and we can tell you where to go or what to do. The second thing what we are doing is the diversity charter. So this is one thing of the things we are doing. The diversity charter for Austria is located in Vienna, in the Chamber of Commerce Vienna. And as Sweden, we have also a 10-year anniversary. So our birthday is celebrated together this year. What we also do is cooperations with external partners, for example, with LGBT organizations. And the focus next year will be on LGBT and disability. Thank you. Please, next slide. So what do we do beside the network? So there are internal and external tasks. This is my colleague Branko, and he is the person of trust for LGBT, which means internally we also have this diversity topic. So he is a normal employee in the chamber. He has his normal job, but as an add-on, he's also person of trust for LGBT. So if I have as an employee in the chamber some diversity or LGBT related issues, or I have questions, I can contact him. It's like a secret that we keep between these two people who meet. So it's not somewhere outside. And we have these people also for disability. So we have 3 people in our organization who are trust people for disability related issues. Thank you. Please, next click. And externally, we have also tasks. So externally for us means for members, for the companies. So what we do is information spread. Symbolic one means like this. This was on the 3rd of December. It was the International Day for People with Disabilities. And there is a big campaign which is called Purple Light Up. So this is the place where I work, and we had it lighted up in purple. So this was a sign. It was creating awareness. This is a symbol. This is symbolic. But we have also facts, so which we communicate. For example, accessibility, equal treatment, or what is equal communication? What word should I use for specific terms? A lot of entrepreneurs or companies don't know, so we see it as our job to actually create awareness also according to that. Then you have a lot of support, of course, because we are the organization to do that for the companies. Then we have the network, which I already presented. And also if you have some questions about subsidies, okay, where can I get some funding, or is there anything for me? That is also something we do in the chamber. So we have many departments, and my job is actually to know about external partners, internal processes to help people and our members with diversity related issues. That's everything. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. We went through all our guests, and now I will return to my first one, to Miss Sonja Schmutz, and I will give you a question, and I will combine now, Sonja, we were a little rescheduling the things. So I put you 2 questions, and if you can answer on one side, how do you think the society will change and the work environment? Which directions are we going? What values will prevail? Another one, what is now and what are the forecasts for the economy at this moment? So combine these 2 questions. What do you think about the values? Where are we going? What will happen? Now we heard today that businesses should be even more sustainable, etc. I give you the floor.
Well, I think that the sustainability is definitely a way to go. It was before COVID anyway, so it might just underline that even more. I think that we'll see a lot of changes, mostly in the way how we and where we do our work. Before we were talking a lot about work from home. Now a lot of us had the experience of experiencing it, and we saw the upside of that, and also a huge downside of working from home. So, but I'm sure that we will have much more of that, and that will change also the companies, and it will have a lot of different implications. For instance, in real estate, companies will probably not need that much space anymore, so that will be a change. But on the other side, we can see that people want now to have more bigger homes. So houses are now in demand in Slovenia more than they were before, for instance. Because now we see that if you work from home, then you need a place where you can get away from other members of the family, especially if they're also homeschooling. So this will be quite huge, and also in how we will be able to reach to the employees who we don't meet now anymore every day. And we did observe also that if there's long time when people work away from their colleagues, there's kind of depressions happening, and so it's not all just rosy and great working from home. So that will also pose to the question to how to lead the companies, how to motivate people when they're when you have them a lot of times online, how to inform them, because if we inform everyone through either it's online sessions, and we have that one by one, if we send an email, if we post it somewhere on social media, we are getting so fed up with all this information that it's difficult to get across. And so we will probably look into finding new ways of reaching to the employees, connecting them to the goal of the company, to the vision of the company. And probably one of the things that was pretty sure came out from COVID now is that the honest communication is probably the best. But still maybe not the brutal honesty. Leaders still have to be positive and give faith to people that we will survive this, we will be successful in the end. And because then people do that. We survive and we are successful in the end, even if at this moment it may look pretty devastating. But we really can survive a lot. So I guess that will be one of the things that will change. And we're seeing a rising topic.
I'm sorry, it's something is going on with your papers. It's okay, I hear you, but something,
I think that also the new question is coming out of the right to disconnect. Because if people are more at home, now there's no difference anymore. When are you working and when are you not working? And so that will be also another way of how to be sure for one side that the effectiveness is there. And on the other side, how to allow people to cut off from the work. So maybe those are a few things that will be changing. And as they are changing, also the values will be changing.
Thank you so much, Sonia, for today. And now I will move quickly to Gabriela, and I will give you open words. You can say whatever you want, because we have only one round now, and whatever you want to say now for this panel discussion. What is your message?
Sonia, you had a very interesting discussion before me. I think I totally agree that we're going to see a major change. And you, Barbara, asked me to talk a little bit about the refugee situation in Sweden. Shortly, I mean, the refugees that came to Sweden in 2015, only 1/3 of them are employed or have paid occupation. And on one side, that if you are far away from the labor market before this pandemic, things are not really moving in the right direction. But on the other hand, the young generation that now is growing up, they are sick and tired of being excluded from the labor market. So that what we also can see is that they start their own businesses a lot. So we can see a strong entrepreneurship trend amongst the young former refugees coming to Sweden, which is very, very interesting. And that is connected to the other question that you gave me, the communication aspect, because these young people growing up now, they have strong voices and they don't accept that companies are excluding them or others from the labor market. So what we can see is that there is interesting voices, there are many voices, and companies need and want to take a stand for things, which is very, very good. But it can also be very tricky. I mean, if you are a marketing department with the same kind of people, it's, you know, you need the density perspective to be able to think wider. You can make fatal mistakes in communication if you don't have various perspectives. So there it comes then to the next question is how to, the importance of recruiting diverse, because if you communicate on this level, but you live on this level, you will have a communication crisis that will affect your brand. Really.
Thank you so much, Gabriela. Katarina, I give you word. Just share what you want to share now as a closing. What do you want to?
Yes, I think, thank you all for all the different insights to this multidimensional topic that it really is. And it's fascinating, I think, that this always happens, that you have your agenda, but then we all have so much to share and learn. So it's very easy to crack an agenda when we discuss this topic. But I also, I can just agree with what has been said, but I also think that what you said, Sonja, about the honest communication, and I think that is something that we have learned so much during this year. And I think that just by seeing each other on screen, in our homes, meeting family members, furry family members, and it feels very strange for me to sit here with makeup and nice clothes today. That was weeks ago since I did that. But that also means that we come closer to each other. We become more connected. And we had one initiative during the spring. Me and my colleague Liz Ryder started what we call a radio show. We call it the We Connect radio show, where we focused on talking about how we feel and how things are, and that it's okay to feel sad and vulnerable, and it's a difficult situation. And I hope that we bring that with us into the future as well, and that we are more compassionate, that we have learned to show more empathy and to ask that simple "how are you" really question towards each other, because I really think that is a very easy question, but that can open up for a much more deeper and authentic discussion. And we really need that, because we need to get everybody in to the group and to the community to get that inclusive feeling that we all want to feel. So maybe that is my ending comment.
Very important. Mirjana, join me and share. What do you think? What do you observe? Are females going to save this post-COVID and these COVID times. Thank you, Katarina. Mirjana, tell me.
I wanted to know what are our thinking about differences between female and male leading in COVID times, and what will be the implications afterwards. So if we look at many of our societies are more or less patriarchal. So men are the ones that are leaders, and the way the men are leading was example in the past. And even now from men, what is expected is to leading with a strong hand, you know, to be this like really strong in whatever it takes. But if we look at the female leaders, especially now, we don't have many data for the companies yet, but we have heard a lot of things what diverse teams, diverse management teams are doing, and Coca-Cola example, and many of them today. So it was really good. But if we look at the female leaders of the countries which were the most successful in beating the COVID crisis, they would be more humane. They would be more caring. So there are a lot of traits that those women had in common. Those female leaders like Jacinda Ardern or Angela Merkel, or you talk about Denmark, Norway, Iceland. We could name some more countries which were really doing well in a crisis. And what was the actions that those women had in common? They would be including everyone. Even, you know, they were speaking to younger generation about can they visit grandparents. So they were very accessible, and they were not excluding just to their voters, but to all the country. So caring and loving for the all of the country. Being very authentic. For example, when Jacinda Ardern was talking from her home, wearing some really casual attire, she would say, "I'm sorry, but it's hard to, you know, to put the toddlers in the bed. So I'm talking to you like I am." So she was not ashamed of being authentic and being who she is. But that relates to many people who are exactly as she, working from home. So she didn't gone far from them. Telling the truth, even if the truth is not really easy. Somehow, like Angela Merkel was having a speech when she would say, it's gonna get, we will go through that together with the help of all the scientists and everybody who know more than we do, but know that there will be time, but it will get tougher. So don't take it too easy. So not that we will beat, this is not a war, this is a marathon that we have to win. Also being very decisive, so not to wait too long. Maybe being decisive and take measures on time is maybe more painful at the beginning, but if you take them at the beginning, you might escape, you will have to take them anywhere at some point in time later, but with much more damage to the company or to the society. What is also important, and I think this is the thing that will stay, is embracing technology. I'm also, as you know, in UNICEF, and we already agreed there that the conferences that were held annually will be held now biannually. So 1 year Zoom, another one physical one, because you still need this physical contact and maybe some discussions behind the scenes where you can exchange the best ideas and so on. So there will be a lot of savings in travel, in many other things that technology is bringing that will stay. And I think we can all learn from how these female leaders were managing the crisis also for the future, not just for the companies, but everywhere, being more social and more humane in discussions and communication.
Well, I think the same as you. Sasha, what is McKinsey saying to the companies?
I would actually, before McKinsey's research shows what I think it's obvious and more logic, that the most vulnerable groups are suffering now even more. So not only the vulnerable groups, but also, for example, women are having even more burden because of the homework and schooling kids and so on and so on. So I think it's just a reflection that those who are not in the position of power are now hurting even more. But what I would like to more emphasize now and at the end is, again, maybe United States, because it is a superpower, and a world is watching what's going on in superpower countries. And in terms of diversity in the corporate sector, there's much more pressure that I hope it will have a lot of more action than in the past now, because of all the Women March when Trump Day, Black Lives Matter, because of transgender ban that I mentioned earlier. There are more and more people and groups that are pushing really hard with pressure that things change also in the corporate sector, not only in boards of directors, but in everywhere. And we do see now some of the big steps that we didn't see in the past. And if I just mention, for example, NASDAQ filed a proposal with the US Securities and Exchange Commission that, if approved, would require all NASDAQ listed companies to adopt new rules related to their boards and diversity in their boards. And if those rules are not obeyed, they would have to publicly explain why is it impossible to have, I don't know, woman or someone from LGBTQ community in your board of director. Also, a lot of companies, big companies now agreed to disclosure their diversity policies and results every year, including Tesla, Amazon, General Motors, Target, Wells Fargo. I had to write them down. I don't know all of them by heart, but it's interesting to see because, for example, Tesla has only 4% of Black people in their top, in their leadership roles, only 17% of women. I mean, these are numbers that tell you this is really not good. Oh, I have someone coming, my baby. What I want to say is Apple invested $100 million to work on diversity and inclusion in next years. So these are the things I would like to see, the big results that will have also influence on other countries. Because again, America has a huge responsibility towards the entire world. It has a huge influence. So I think that I surely hope that Biden's leadership will bring more inclusion and more influence and more positive changes, not only in administration and government, but also here in the corporate world. Oh, my baby's calling me.
Thank you. You can go put on the microphone because you will listen beautiful music for the end, but we
oh my gosh, the music was absolutely amazing. I wrote you on Vibra. I have to get this song. It was amazing. Thank you for
Thank you so much
intro.
for joining us today, Sasha. Ciao.
Ciao.
Yes. And now, Marzena, do you have still time? Tell us. I wanted to say for Marzena, you know, I wanted to tell you something on to all these people that
I'm
are
sorry,
listening.
I will have to leave in 2 minutes, so I would like to thank you and
yes.
thank you to all participants for such a great event. Congratulate you, Barbara. And one thing I would like to share is that 2 years ago, Cambridge University Press published analysis titled Gender Consequences of Financial Crisis, a cross-national analysis, and they gathered data from 68 countries for 30 years, and this data indicates that we are, as women, in a great danger because of the crisis. That always financial crises have very strong impact even 7 years after the crisis ended. So I think we have to keep it in mind when trying to solve this gender equality challenges. We are in danger. The second thing I would like to share at the end is that this challenges with mental health, which are very common not only in business, but it's a part of our reality as a human, means that we see that business is fragile and people are fragile, but it means that business is changing towards more humanistic, I would say, which is great. And the last thing, and I'm very sorry that I cannot be with you longer, is that the biggest hope is in young generation. In what we see in Poland this year, and this year is extremely difficult for Poland because of the pandemic, because of presidential election that was combined with hate speech campaign against LGBT people, and with this last October abortion law. And what we see is every day we have protests on the streets all over the Poland, not only in Warsaw. And they are young women, most of them, young people, and they will change our world, I'm sure, because we also, and it's also interesting part of this protest, the language of this protest, the communication they use. The communication is brilliant. It's very, very, let's say, intelligent, ironic, and it's really show the power of young people, but also very straightforward. And I'm sorry to say that, but the main message on this women protest, young women protest, is fuck off. And the second is it is war. So we are not going to be, or we as a woman are not going to be as we are supposed to be, very polite. So I think revolution is underway all over the world, in fact. And it is a huge challenge for employers, because if business is expected to lead, then it should have a firm stand also in the subject that might be perceived as political, that they are very polarizing society. And it's very difficult to for business to have especially in external communication, yes, to have a stand. So thank you once again, and I have to leave. I'm sorry.
Thank you, thank you. Very, we touched the theme that I wanted to touch with you. So thank you so much. Bye, bye, Marzena. And if I can go to Lisa Shibanova. Tell me.
Yes, thank you first of all for inviting us. It was very fruitful session, and I also took some notes for myself, and it's great to learning from each other. Of course, I absolutely agree with you that now we're entering to new reality, and what is the most important to remain the role of leaders, and the role of leaders become even more crucial because only right leaders with the right mindset can embrace diversity, can embrace different solutions. And for me, diversity is not only about gender, it's about different ideas, solution, and implementation, execution, cultures. And these leaders can foster right mindset. And of course, by doing this, we can create safe environment for growth, both our people and our business. So by saying this, I think our key challenge will be to find these right leaders, to adapt them, to develop in order to be faster, agile, and face whatever challenges and turn them to opportunities. Once again, thank you so much for this session today.
Thank you. And we will end with, I think, the most young at this panel, Sarah. tell me. You
That's-
are the ones who will save the world. What can we do to support you? What can we do to support you?
Yes, so of course there's a
Okay, we are having
difference because me as working of the entrepreneurs and companies, I saw so much positivity in the last months. It was unbelievable, mostly from young people, from young entrepreneurs who had also a difficult time, but they were so positive and they were like, okay, let's rethink everything and let's do something new, or let's leave it. And they were like, okay, let's try, you know, now is the time to try. And of course not everyone has the possibility, that's also important to say. So when I'm a hairdresser, I can't, you know, maybe have so many possibilities than when I'm doing something else, or I am in sale, or I don't know. But there are a lot of positive examples which I could really see, and I think that's great. On the other hand, there are a lot of course, fundings from the state, from Austria, and subsidies and, you know, aid to help companies, but they are often like calculated on your previous income. So young people haven't got the time, or young companies, to reach a high income or a stable income, because they just maybe found it last year or maybe in January, and they often didn't get this fundings because of that. And on the state level, from young entrepreneurs, so I'm just in Vienna, but on the Austrian level of young entrepreneurs, they are really discussing and you know, fighting almost for the rights also for young entrepreneurs, and discussing with politicians and so on to help young entrepreneurs. Because the main argument behind this, and we know this from other crises and so on, is then who will rebuild this? You know, this is not a thing of 1 year or anything. The economy, and this is my job, you know, the business and everything else, it will need some time to recover. So who else will do it if not the young ones? They have to have the burden, and it's, I think, okay for us, but we need, as young entrepreneurs, now be supported. So, and that's the main message, I think, which is evolving now and which we are communicating.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I
So much.
think it's nice to end this panel discussion with you. And we came to the end. We had to hurry a little bit. We are many, but I think that we could speak all afternoon and even more. Let me thank you now for all rich as possible discussion in this virtual world, to all participants with us in Zoom that you are there, and to all that you are listening us through broadcasting in YouTube. May life brings all the best to your countries in the future year, and may help that we are all together in this, and only together we can win it. I hope we will join our forces in spring at European Celebration of Diversity in May 2021. You will be all invited to celebrate. And then I will shortly wrap this discussion and say just 3 sentences more. The effect of COVID-19 stereotyping and discrimination intensifies pressures on an already challenging environment for diversity and inclusion across the world. But COVID-19 doesn't not discriminate. And times like this should be the moment to stop, unite, and come together. We try to answer some of the questions today, but we should never stop asking ourselves, because asking questions is fundamental, not only to know ourselves, I am a psychologist, you know, but also to face all the challenges that life may throw at us. So for the end, I will repeat questions from the beginning of this event, and I will invite you to share them and seek for the answers. My colleague from Sri Lanka always says, when there is a problem, there is an opportunity disguised as a solution. So, what will new situation bring for businesses and people? Will business leaders be able to navigate through white waters under the sky without stars? Is integration of the values of D&I the first answer to the current crisis? Is the help from different the cure? Now please join me for the end to listen the song Black is the Color of My True Love Hair, performed by Barbara Kozel. Other participants, please do not leave because we will sign the charter. We have new signatories after coming. They're waiting there. And please stay with us and enjoy the music, and thank you. All bless you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Of my true love's hair, his lips are something rosy fair, the sweetest smile and the kindest hands. I love the grass whereon he stands.
And we are back here. Here we are now, all the participants of the signing ceremony. Now we will continue in Slovenian language. So, dober dan vsem novim podpisnikom Listine Raznolikosti Slovenija. Jaz bi se zahvalila, da ste potrpeli z nami do konca. Jaz mislim, da smo mogli zaključiti to na tak način, da bomo zdaj lahko res pristopili z vami, vas podprli pri tem vašem novem koraku. Zdaj bi jaz kar povabila posamezne, se pravi, direktorje posameznih organizacij in vas bom kar po imenu poklicala. Zdaj bi najprej povabila direktorico Natalijo Zupan, da prižge kamero in se nam pridruži z izjavo ob podpisu Listine Raznolikosti. Če pa sem slučajno v chatu kaj zgrešila, da je kdo mogel oditi predčasno, pa bi prosila Nives, da me na to opozori. Kje imamo gospo Natalijo Zupan? Je z nami? Mislim, da je ni, pravi Nives. Gledamo, potem bom šla naprej do direktorice Doroteje Volovec iz invalidskega podjetja Lumia d.o.o. Če se mi lahko pridruži na način, da... Nives me prosi, da vsi, ki boste danes podpisali Listino Raznolikosti, priklopite kamere in tako bo lažje. Evo, mislim, da je to rokometni klub Celje, pivovarna Laško, je tako, Rok Plenkelj, direktor. Jaz sem samo vas najavila, to je prvi športni klub, ki pristopa k podpisu Listine raznolikosti in jaz sem zelo vesela, da imamo pri sebi evropskega prvaka in 7-kratnega državnega, se pravi, dajte mi pomagati, no.
24-kratnega državnega.
24-kratnega državnega. Dajte eno izjavo, mi smo zelo veseli, ker mislim, da boste to sporočilo lahko zelo veliko število ljudi mladim prenesli, predvsem, ki vas gledajo kot nek ideal.
Ja, najprej pohvala z naše strani za pobudo, za vse komentarje, za vse prezentacije, ki sem bil tudi jaz deležen. Moram reči, da sem zelo vesel in ponosen, da se pridružujemo podpisu tovrstne listine raznolikosti. Tako kot ste že omenili, smo, mislim, da prvi klub oziroma športna organizacija, ki se tej pobudi pridružil. Tako še enkrat smo veseli, ponosni. V klubu pa smo v letošnjem letu, rečemo, že izdali eno trajnostno poročilo, tudi prvi klub na tem področju, ki se dejansko poslužuje prakse tudi ostalih podjetij. V poročilu zasledujemo tudi pojem družbene odgovornosti, enakopravnosti, raznolikosti. Veliko se pogovarjamo na temo rasizma, se borimo proti rasizmu in pa znotraj kluba v poslovnem smislu mojih sodelavcev tudi sodelujemo z vsemi možnimi organizacijami oziroma generacijami, izmenjavi mnenj vseh nas različnih. Tako da še enkrat dobra pobuda, pa vsi skupaj. Po drugi strani tudi velika zaveza, kako vsem tem raznoliko živeti in pa vsemi zadanimi vrednotami in pa zavezami, ki jih sprejemamo.
Hvala lepa. Mi smo zelo ponosni, da ste podpisali Listino raznolikosti in se veselimo kakršnih koli idej, ki bi jih imeli, da bi lahko kaj skupaj naredili oziroma da lahko mi promoviramo te vaše stvari, ki jih počnete, da bo še širše za delo. Hvala lepa. V redu. Zdaj pa, Nives mi sicer v ozadju na chatu marsikaj piše, ampak bi jaz vsem prosila, Nives, da se priklopiš, ker jaz zdaj več ne obvladujem tega chata, ker se mi veliko stvari klep pojavlja. Me zanima, ali je z nami Ljudska univerza Rogaške Slatine, direktorica Lidija Sovinc. Tudi oni so pristopili k podpisu Listine raznolikosti.
Ljudske univerze ni tokrat.
Dobro, hvala. Loterija Slovenija, predsednica uprave Romana Drnovšek. Ste z nami?
Ja, mi pa smo tukaj, jaz pa sem z vami, zdravo.
Super, hvala. Povejte.
Zelo z veseljem sem poslušala to prireditev in kar dobila kaj idej, tudi sodelavka Nives je z mano zraven. Skupaj s sodelavci v Loteriji Slovenije že leta gradimo kulturo vključevanja različnosti. Zato se pravzaprav Listini raznolikosti Slovenije z veseljem pridružujemo. Za nas zaveza načelom listine pomeni predvsem v prvi vrsti potrditev dosedanjega dela, da razmišljamo in delamo prav. Na drugi strani je pa ena lepa vzpodbuda za še boljše delovanje v prihodnje, za še bolj vključujoče delovno okolje, za še boljšo prihodnost vseh nas. Tako da smo veseli, da smo zraven in želimo vsem vse najboljše.
In mi smo veseli, da ste z nami, zelo smo ponosni. Hvala lepa. Naprej bi povabila Mikropolo direktorja Marko Podgornik. Je z nami.
Ne, direktorja žal ni več.
Ste pa vi, Mirjana Vladić.
Zaradi tega, ker je že 15 minut ima zaposlitveni razgovor, na katerem bi sicer naj bila tudi jaz zraven, ampak me je pooblastil, da lahko jaz dam eno kratko izjavo. Podobno kot je povedala moja predhodnica, za nas podpis Listine raznolikosti ne pomeni kaj dosti več kot pa simbolno priznanje na nek način tega, kar počnemo že ves čas. Verjamemo v to, da na svetu je samo raznolikost tisto, kar nas bogati in tisto, kar nas razvija. V naravi ni dveh stvari, ki bi bile čisto enake in tako je tudi z ljudmi. Med drugim, poleg tega, da smo podpisali Listino raznolikosti, smo tudi ena od dveh štajerskih organizacij, ki smo podpisali, tu imamo certifikat LGBTQ prijazno podjetje. Bili smo med prvimi pristopniki in imetniki certifikata družini prijazno podjetje, certifikat za starejši in prijazno podjetje, v glavnem ni da ni, čeprav nismo ravno zbiratelji certifikatov, bolj gre za to, da z njimi nekako potrdimo tisto, kar v podjetju že itak počnemo. Naj dovolim, ker vidim še gospoda Plankla tule na kameri, naj še tudi jaz zahvalim kot bivša rokometašica pa navijačica rokometnega kluba Celje, sem zelo vesela, da ste tudi vi zraven. In mi bomo to svoje delo zdaj na nek način mogoče malo bolj sistemizirali, pa bolj vključili v neka poročila, pa plane. Vemo, da moramo naslednje leto poročati tudi strokovnemu svetu. Drugače pa je to za nas, bom rekla tole, skoraj business as usual. Taki mi smo in na tak način tudi delujemo. In upam, da bo tudi še naprej tako ostalo, oziroma ne dvomim, da tako tudi bo. Tako da vsem podpisnikom pa želim uspeha pri tem, da bomo skupaj gradili boljši svet s pomočjo spoštovanja raznolikosti.
Hvala lepa, gospa, za te besede in bi povabila k besedi tudi direktorja Benedikta Ceglarja iz podjetja NIL d.o.o. oziroma tisti, ki je namesto njega, če je.
Smo kar vsi.
Ja, super.
Smo trije, tako da jaz bom z veseljem dal besedo tudi kolegici, ki nas je pripeljala do tega, vse skupaj, da danes tole podpisujemo, to je Katarina Primožič, Ramoveš. Jaz bom pa zelo kratek. No. Smo res veseli in ponosni v podpisu te listine, ker namreč v podjetju spodbujamo vključujoče inovativno delovno okolje na osnovi medsebojnega spoštovanja in zaupanja. To za nas pomeni v bistvu osnovo delovanja. Tako se kot podjetje in posamezniki zelo enostavno poistovetimo z določili, tudi jaz sem jih večkrat prebral v tem kontekstu in te določila tudi spremljamo. S podpisom pa seveda ne želimo samo slediti temu, pač pa smernice aktivno uveljavljati, živeti in ne nazadnje biti zgled drugim. Tako da, Katarina, bi te pa zelo prosil, če še tvoj pogled dodaš, namreč ta iniciativa ni edina, ki jo delamo na tem področju.
En lep pozdrav še z moje strani, meni se pa pridružil še naš Videk, a boš rekel živ, ja? Skratka, tudi jaz imam tako, kot Sašo vidim, da ima zraven, živijo Saša. Skratka, en res lep pozdrav vsem skupaj. Vidim veliko znanih obrazov, Mirjana živijo, gospa Romana, zdravo, Saša, zdravo. Skratka, res zelo lepo videti popisano druščino. In iz tega naslova smo res, pravzaprav tako kot tudi ostali pred mano, ugotavljam, da pravzaprav zelo veliko podjetij že dela na pravi način in tovrstne pobude dejansko nam dajo nek tak pozitiven okvir, s pomočjo katerega lahko zadevo umestimo v nek širši kontekst. Se povezujemo med sabo, delimo dobre prakse in v bistvu že samo to dejstvo je mislim, da tisto, kar vključevanje je po svojem bistvu, tako kot je Mirjana prej zelo lepo rekla, raznolikost bogati, vključevanje pa res odpira možnosti. In v tem smislu smo z veseljem pristopili k podpisu listine. Tudi za nas je to potrditev, da delamo na pravi način, kot smo se zavezali, in nam to zelo, zelo veliko pomeni, da smo v taki pisani druščini vključujočih organizacij. Hvala.
Hvala lepa. Zdaj bi pa k besedi povabila direktorja Roberta Cugla iz Univerzitetnega rehabilitacijskega inštituta Republike Slovenije Soča. Zelo sem vesela, da ste z nami. Dajte nekaj, kako vam je zdaj v teh časih?
Ja, dober dan vsem skupaj. Ja, je zanimivo, to so novi izzivi, ki jih pač moramo sprejemati takšni, kakršni so, in se s tem covidom pač boriti, kakor se vemo in znamo. Ampak zdaj naša inštitucija je zelo vesela, da smo se tudi mi priključili zraven tem raznolikosti. Namreč vsak dan se srečujemo z raznolikostjo tako na področju z področja pacientov, kot tudi seveda zaposlenih. In moram reči, da raznolikost nam dela še bistveno močnejše. Zanimiva je bila debata, pravzaprav rečem ženska debata, pred tem, ko ste dame zelo dobro debatirale, ampak tisto mi je bilo všeč, kar se tiče raznolikosti spolov v bordu. Tukaj mislim, da je stvar zelo jasna. Pri nas je približno 50-50, se pravi moške, ženske, in verjetno smo tudi in smo zaradi tega uspešni. Torej, to se mi zdi zelo pomembno sporočilo. V bordu je potrebno mešana ekipa, kajti vsak drugače razmišlja, in pri nas se je skazalo to za izredno pozitivno. Bili smo pred kakšnimi 10 leti še bolj moški tim, čeprav v ženskem kolektivu, imamo skoraj 75% žensk, ampak zdaj se je to obrnilo in moram reči, da smo zaradi tega lahko samo še bolj uspešni. Tako da smo ponosni in veseli, da smo se pridružili tem številnim ekipam, podjetjem, inštitucijam in pa pospisali to listino raznolikosti. Hvala lepa.
Hvala lepa, gospod Cugelj. Potem bi povabila k besedo še direktorico Zavoda RIS-a, direktorico Tatjano Knap, če je z nami.
Ja, tukaj. Lep pozdrav. Hvala, da ste nas povabili medse. Upam, da bo povezava dobra, nekaj že zafrkava cel dopoldan, ampak...
Evo, vidimo vas.
No, super, skratka. Hvala, da smo lahko danes v tej imenitni družbi. Nekako, če bi rekli, da v naši organizaciji zgolj podpiramo, spodbujamo raznolikost in se k njej zavezujemo, bi rekli precej premalo, kajti ustanovitev in vse dejavnosti našega zavoda izhajajo ravno iz raznolikosti. Ukvarjamo se namreč z dostopnostjo informacij oziroma informiranjem dostopni prilagojeni obliki, česar sploh ne moremo početi brez sodelovanja ljudi z ovirami. Naša načela oziroma ugotovitve so nekako, da so potrebe in želje vseh ljudi v svoji temeljni osnovi precej podobne, enake. Poti do njihovega zadovoljevanja pa niso in ne morejo biti enake. Na vsaki poti potrebujemo informacije, dobre, prave informacije, take, ki jih razumemo in jih lahko uporabimo, do njih imamo pravico, na to ne smemo pozabiti. Načinov podajanja informacij in komuniciranja pa je ogromno, neverjetno raznoliki so. Zato ob tej priložnosti na Mednarodni dan človekovih pravic v svojem imenu, v imenu svojih sodelavcev in pa naših uporabnikov, vsem želim, da bi imeli na voljo prave poti, odprte poti, raznolike poti, in seveda dostopne informacije, da bi si lahko pot izbrali sami. Hvala lepa.
Hvala lepa. In potem še direktorico Urško Pevec-Repnik iz Zavoda Zdrava celota je tudi z nami. Ja,
pozdravljeni.
Pozdravljeni, vidimo vas, slišimo vas. Tako je.
Najprej se tudi jaz zahvaljujem za to čudovito srečanje, druženje, zdaj zadnji 2 uri. Bi pa želela povedati, da se pri nas v Zavodu Zdrava celota dnevno srečujemo z raznolikostjo posameznikov, ki se obrnejo na nas z željo po strokovni pomoči. Pri nas je več kot nujno, da to raznolikost sprejemamo, spoštujemo in pa vključujemo v naš vsakdan. S tem podpisom Listine raznolikosti Slovenije s ponosom stopamo na skupno pot z več kot 60 podpisniki, ki so se že zavezali spoštovati vse človekove pravice v najširšem pomenu. To sprejemanje raznolikosti v naš koncept poslovanja ustvarja tisto okolje, kjer je vsak posameznik obravnavan s spoštovanjem in pa sprejet v vsej svoji različnosti in z vsemi posebnostmi. Ta naša raznolikost nas zbližuje, dela posebne in pa tudi vredne, kar veliko ljudem v današnjih časih manjka. Ampak ob zavedanju, da ta raznolikost nas zbližuje, lahko drugemu veliko pomagamo, pristopimo in naredimo svet lepši.
Hvala lepa vam, gospa. Res smo veseli, da ste z nami. Zdaj bi povabila pa še direktorico Manico Čelofiga, ki je pa iz podjetja Rut in e-marketing. Če se priklopi.
Ja, pozdravljeni. Ja, tako, jaz sem iz korporativnega sveta stopila pred 5-6 leti kot vodja marketinga in oddelka za pospeševanje prodaje z namenom, da dejansko tako pri sebi, kot pri ostalih menedžerjih, kot coach, dosežem te vrednote, ki jih danes dobesedno poudarjajo vsi, ki so spregovorili, od avtentičnosti do unikatnosti, do povezljivosti in tako naprej. In raznovrstnost je tudi jedro mojega coachinga v povezavi s tem, da dejansko raznovrstnost predstavlja bogatstvo, obilje. In ko se odpira vsaka organizacija te raznovrstnosti, tako kot je bilo danes predvsem poudarjeno, nekako spuščanje te ženskih vrednot, ženskega načina delovanja v ta moški poslovni svet, je to en zelo pomemben korak, ko mislim, da se že vsi zavedamo, da bo v naslednjih desetletjih zelo pomemben za celotno človeštvo, tako da z veseljem sem del teh vrednot in tega gibanja.
Hvala lepa. Zdaj bi pa mogoče samo še povedala ob tej priložnosti, da je listino podpisal tudi Legebitra, ki je dalo izjavo, in sicer se glasi: k podpisu listine smo pri Legebitri pristopili, saj se kot organizacija, katere poslanstvo je izboljšati položaj in družbeno sprejetost lezbijk, gejev, biseksualnih, transspolnih in interspolnih oseb zavedamo pomena spoštovanja raznolikosti na delovnih mestih. Seveda pa ni dovolj samo podpis listine, pomembno je, da se načela, katerim se s podpisom zavežemo, odražajo tako v internem delovanju organizacije kot tudi izven. K listini je pristopilo tudi Združenje gluhih Slovenija 1411, ki so zapisali ob tej priložnosti: Listina raznolikosti je en delček mozaika za Združenje gluhih Slovenija 1411, en korak k boljši kakovosti življenja gluhih v širši družbi, kot tudi dobiček gluhih delimo z vsemi, ne glede na to, kdo in kaj smo. Dobiček mora veljati za vse enako. Zato podpiramo načela vrednot raznolikosti, enakosti in vključenosti, da smo vsi enakopravni. Naše načelo je nič o gluhih in naglušnih brez gluhih in naglušnih. Z nami je bil tudi Igor Samobor, ki je mogel predčasno zaiti, ker se je vse skupaj malce podaljšalo, ki pa je zapisal takole: v imenu SNG Drama Ljubljana v celoti podpiramo in pozdravljamo idejo in njen plemenit namen. Implementacijo raznolikosti na vsa področja življenja. Živimo v času, ki prav kliče po glasnosti, ki je povezana z zagotavljanjem enakosti različnih. Politike, ki se uveljavljajo, strah pred neznanim obdobjem, stanje sveta, ki neti strah, in sovraštvo do drugačnih zahtevata odgovor ljudi, ki se zavedajo, da je prav v raznolikosti moč. Enako velja tudi za današnjo COVID krizo, ki je hkrati lahko tudi teren za špekulacije in manipulacije. V drami verjamem, da tudi v večini drugih gledališč smo navajeni gledati na človeka odprto brez zadržkov, zato lahko z mirno vestjo rečem, da idejo raznolikosti in njeno kvaliteto spoštujemo in širimo že vrsto let. In naj bi jaz kulturo zaključila. Zaradi tega, ker sočustvujemo z vsem, kar se dogaja na tem področju, vsem skupaj, ki ste podpisali na novo, se vam sporočam, da niste sami v tem, če boste karkoli potrebovali, kakšen navdih mogoče, pridite, zelo smo veseli, da je naša skupnost vedno večja. Tukaj mi še kolegica pa za konec dodaja še izjavo Glose, tudi Sindikat kulture in narava Slovenija je podpisal to listino in direktor Mitja je poslal nam izjavo, in ko bomo zaključili s to izjavo, bomo potem tudi zaključili ta dogodek. Whoever is from the foreign countries still staying with us, I'm saying thank you for all the participants to join us today on this occasion, and I wish you all good and stay safe and healthy, and let's enjoy next year when it comes. Thank you so much and have a great time.
Spoštovane in cenjeni, sem Mitja Šuštar, predsednik Sindikata kulture in narave Slovenije Glosa. Današnji svetovni dan človekovih pravic obeležujemo v spomin na dogodek, ko je 10. decembra 1948 Generalna skupščina Združenih narodov v Parizu sprejela splošno deklaracijo človekovih pravic. Najbolj resne in trdne, pa tudi najbolj znane so njene besede, da se vsi ljudje rodijo svobodni, ter imajo enako dostojanstvo in enake pravice. Lepo je, da je na ta dan še posebej aktivna in slovesna naša Listina Raznolikosti Slovenija. Glosa je k listini z veseljem pristopila v aprilu 2019, danes pa je tudi slovesno podpisuje, ker listina zagovarja in udejanja tisto, kar bi moral vsakdo. Preprečevati je potrebno sleherno obliko diskriminacije in oblikovati politiko, ki širi enake možnosti, vključenost in raznolikost ter prepoznava individualne spretnosti. Vsi smo torej dolžni razvijati spoštovanje pravic in svoboščin in biti na preži, posebno v teh zahtevnih epidemičnih časih. Dobro je Listina izbrala zelo aktualno, zanimivo in poučno vsebino današnje okrogle mize Raznolikost proti pandemiji. No, v imenu naše organizacije in v svojem lastnem pa lahko, ravno tako v duhu časa, rečem, da je spoštljivo, varno in zdravo okolje, delovno in širše, tudi naša izjemno pomembna pravica. Zdravje pa naša najpomembnejša dobrina. Morda je zato zdravljenje pogosto zahtevno in predrago. Zagotovo pa je prav to tehten argument za najširšo dostopnost zdravstvenih storitev, kar lahko zagotovi le pravični, kakovostni, trdni in javni zdravstveni sistem. Hudo nam je in razočarani smo, ker so v Sloveniji razkraja. Čakalne dobe so nesramno dolge, zlasti za manj premožne in revne. Rešitev za naš zdravstveni sistem je takojšnja in učinkovita vojna proti zaslužkarstvom, korupcijam, privatizacijam in vrtičkarstvom. To je naša pravica in dolžnost. Kot je pravica in dolžnost Listine Raznolikosti, da uspešno živi in deluje za več in boljše, namesto za manj in slabše, še naprej.
Torej, to je to, prišli smo do konca. Najlepše se vam zahvaljujem vsem danes. Lepo se imejte in srečno.